Hello, my name is Stephen Bryen, and I'm the author of the new book, Security Planning for Holy Places. Let me tell you a little bit about the book and talk about some of the issues surrounding church and synagogue security. First of all, the idea of the book is to provide a real planning guide and cover the most important issues affecting security around holy places. It's not a totally simple subject. Some of it has to do with physical security, some of it has to do with how you organize, and some of it has to do with how you limit liability and how you properly go about putting in place a security system. Now let me just start right at the top, because I think we start right at the beginning. If you don't have a security organization at your synagogue or church, you're in trouble. It's that simple. Organization is the backbone of a good security system. Without it, security won't function and it won't work. So you need to form a security committee if you don't already have one. Now, who should be on it? That's up to you, of course. But I would recommend members of the congregation, the professional staff, and clergy if they're willing. The main point is that this organization, this security group, is going to be responsible for figuring out exactly what you need to protect your holy place. And that's a big assignment. And it requires volunteer time, but it doesn't cost money. It just takes time and effort. So it needs good leadership, it needs commitment, and it needs consistency over time to really work properly. So the number one recommendation the book makes and I make is a security committee is your first step to good security system. Incidentally, if you have one and it's sort of sleeping, not doing much, you need to fix it. It's that simple. You can't just let it linger. You have to get on top of the problem and really fix it so that it functions all the time. Now, the security committee will be responsible for the physical improvements that might be needed. It will be responsible for the technology. It will be responsible for liaison with the local police, the FBI, other law enforcement authorities, first responders. It will seek out and try and get good briefings about what the threats are. And by the way, the threat has become much worse in the last 5 years, 6 years. It's really at a very high level now, and there's no sign of it abating, despite efforts by the government and by leaders around the country to try and improve things. And it's not only a U.S. problem, it's a problem that is in Europe, in a very big time. It goes as far as Australia. You saw what happened at Bondi Beach and the terrible slaughter there. That wasn't the only incident, but there are others. It's a lack of connectivity, understanding the threat, and dealing with it ahead of time. You just can't wait around for something bad to happen. You have to be prepared. So the first and the most important thing for you to do, if you haven't already done it, is to put together a security committee of committed people that are willing to work on this and study and do everything necessary to build a proper security system for your church or synagogue. Now, let's say you have the security committee. What's your biggest priority? The biggest priority is to keep an intruder, a shooter, or a killer, or anyone that means you harm, to keep them out of your sanctuary, out of your building. If you don't do that, you're playing catch-up ball and you're in trouble. So you really want to try and get them at the front door, so to speak, the entrance. Now, old type of synagogues and churches often had doors that opened right into the sanctuary, or just about right into the sanctuary, meaning that it was very exposed if somebody got through. So you need an access control system, and you need a means of identifying any potential threat. Now, this is not trivial. It's a hard job, and you have to work out sort of ground rules. For example, you might want to have an approved congregation list, and you check people off on the way in, and if they're bringing a guest, fine, check the guest. But otherwise, strangers, be careful, because intruders will come in under some, I have a problem, and you really need to pray, All kinds of things will come up just to get through the door. Once they're in, they're in. So you want to deal with that up front and have an access control system at the front door, or even in front of the front door if you can, to protect your building and your sanctuary. By the way, you also need to think about protecting from physical harm, let's say a car or truck crashing into your building. By the way, this has happened very recently in Ohio, a very bad incident where the man drove his truck into a church, broke the doors down, and then got out with a gun and killed 4 people and wounded a number of others. And it happened at the Chabad headquarters in New York City, where, again, a man repeatedly drove his car into the access doors for the sanctuary at the Chabad International Headquarters, and nobody stopped him. Nobody. There was no protection. There's a thing called bollards, which are devices that are put in the ground to prevent a car or truck from getting through. And some synagogues that I know have put up big rocks that also prevent a car or truck from getting in. And some use big planters filled with rocks. Anyway, the idea here is that you need to protect, physically protect, especially if your front door is exposed to the street. That's the important thing. Now, there is money available for security systems in churches and synagogues. It's government money. And the book, by the way, will explain how you apply and how you get it. And it's a fair amount of money these days. But I want to say 2 things about that. The first is that our wonderful government takes its time. So you send in your request, and maybe 8 or 12 months later, you get an answer. Usually it's a good one, but it's a long time. That's not the end of it, because then the government says, oh, we're going to award you $100,000 or $200,000 to do the work. But you have to go out and solicit bids on the different pieces of equipment. You have to submit that information to us, and we need to approve it. So you have many more months before you can put in a security system with the technology and support that the government's willing to give. What's it mean? It means don't wait. Don't wait for government money. Do what you can as soon as you can, and then when the money comes, you can improve it. But the idea of waiting is a very bad idea. Terrorists don't wait. They operate whenever they want to. And today they're backed by other terrorist organizations, by foreign governments, domestic organizations. It doesn't end any place. In fact, we don't even really know how bad it is, but it's bad. So the main message here is get on the stick, get the job done, protect yourself. Read the book. I wrote it for that purpose. And if you have questions or need advice, I'm always available by email. My email address is easy. It's my first name, Stephen, with an E, a dot, last name, Bryen, Bryen, @gmail.com. Send me your questions. I will do my best to answer them for you if I can, or I'll tell you where to go to get an answer if I can't. So let's hope we all can worship in peace and security. And thank you very much for watching this video and for your attention to your security needs. Thank you again.